The massive alien warships appeared in Earth's outer system without warning. 500 crystalline vessels, each one larger than Earth's biggest space station, hung in the darkness like deadly stars. Their hulls gleamed with an inner light that pulsed like a heartbeat, casting eerie shadows across the void. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UN's Defiance, Earth's most advanced warship, but even their best technology looked like toys compared to the alien fleet. The Admiral's hands gripped the railing as he watched the impossible sight through the viewport. "Sir," came a voice from the communications officer. "We're receiving a transmission from the alien flagship." "Put it through," Chen ordered, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a creature that made everyone on the bridge step back. Ambassador Zhelvox towered over 7 feet tall, his insect-like body covered in dark metal plates. 4 arms extended from his torso, each ending in clawed hands that could crush steel. His head resembled a praying mantis, with large black eyes that seemed to see everything. Most terrifying were his mandibles, razor-sharp jaws that clicked together when he spoke. "Primitive humans." Zhelvox's voice filled the bridge, translated by their computers. "I am Ambassador Zhelvox of the Valian Empire. Your species has been selected for integration into our galactic order." Admiral Chen activated the ship's main transmitter. "This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Nations. We're listening." The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "You have no choice but to listen, Admiral. The Valian Empire has conquered 47 worlds. Your Earth will be the 48th. Behind Zhelvox, other aliens moved through what appeared to be the bridge of their massive ship. They all shared similar insect features, their bodies, encased in biomechanical armor that seemed to be part of their bodies. However, the ambassador continued, the Empire is feeling generous today. We offer you a choice. Surrender 80% of your population to serve as workers in our colonies, and we will allow your planet to continue existing. Refuse, and we will turn your world into cosmic dust. The bridge fell silent. Chen felt the weight of 8 billions, human lives on his shoulders. And if we refuse both options? Zhelvox's eyes flickered with something that might have been humor. Then you join the countless species that thought they could resist the Empire. Their worlds are now empty, their civilizations forgotten. We need time to consider. Time is for species that have leverage, the alien interrupted. You have none, but the Empire is patient. You have 72 hours to decide. We will hold peace negotiations at Cathara Prime, the neutral station, in your system's asteroid belt. Bring your leaders. Make your choice. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. 3 hours later, Secretary General Maria Santos boarded a transport ship bound for Cathara Prime. She was a small woman in her 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes that had seen too much suffering in her years of diplomacy. With her came Earth's best negotiators, scientists and military advisors. Dr. Sarah Kim sat across from Santos in the transport's main cabin. She was a quantum physicist from Korea, one of Earth's brightest minds. She looked out the window at the alien fleet and shook her head. "They're not here to negotiate," she said quietly. "Look at that formation. It's a demonstration of power. Nothing more." Santos nodded. "I know, but we have to try. Maybe we can find something they want besides slaves." "What could we possibly offer them?" asked General Morrison, Earth's top military strategist. "They have technology that's centuries ahead of ours. They travel between stars like we travel, between cities." Dr. Kim pulled up a data pad showing energy readings from the alien ships. "Their technology is impressive, but it's all based on crystalline structures. Everything about their ships suggests they think in straight lines. Direct, power-overwhelming force. They might be advanced, but they're not creative." The transport docked at Cathara Prime 2 hours later. The station hung in space like a metal flower, its petals opening to receive ships from both species. Inside, the human delegation was led, through corridors that had been modified for the aliens' larger frames. The negotiation chamber was vast, with a curved table that could seat hundreds, but only a dozen aliens waited for them. Zhelvox at their head. The humans took their seats across from the Valians, the distance between them feeling like a canyon. So, Gelvox began without ceremony. What is your answer? Santos leaned forward. We propose an alternative. Earth has resources you might find valuable. Our scientists, our culture, our art. The ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly, clearly a sign of impatience. We have studied your species for 6 months. You are a fragmented people obsessed with entertainment, sports, and trivial communication. Your greatest accomplishment is a global network where you share pictures of small animals. Several of the human delegates shifted uncomfortably. It was hard to argue when put that way. What we need, Gelvox continued, is workers. Your species breeds quickly and adapts well to different environments. 80% will serve the Empire. 20% will remain to continue reproduction. That's not negotiation, General Morrison said, his voice hard. That's slavery. Call it what you wish, the alien replied. The alternative is extinction. These are your only choices. Dr. Kim spoke up for the first time. What about voluntary migration? Humans who choose to work in your colonies in exchange for technology transfer? Gelvox studied her with those black eyes. You misunderstand our intent, primitive one. This is not a trade between equals. This is the strong taking from the weak. Your opinion in this matter is irrelevant. Santos tried again. Perhaps we could work together. The negotiations are concluded, Gelvox announced, standing to his full height. You have seen our fleet. You understand our power. Return to your world and give them our terms. 72 hours from now, you will broadcast your answer to our flagship. Choose wisely, humans. Your species' future depends on it. The aliens filed out of the chamber, leaving the human delegation alone. Santos looked around the table at her team, scientists, diplomats, generals, and saw the same grim realization in every face. They never intended to negotiate, General Morrison said. No, Santos agreed. They wanted to see us face to face, to confirm that we're as weak as they think we are. Dr. Kim stood up, gathering her data pads. Well then, I suppose we should get back to Earth. We have work to do. What kind of work? Santos asked. The physicist smiled, and for the first time since seeing the alien fleet, it reached her eyes, the kind that will surprise them. As the human transport pulled away from Kithara Prime, Admiral Chen watched from the bridge of the Defiance. The alien fleet maintained its position, confident and patient. They had given humanity 3 days to accept the inevitable. What they didn't know was that humanity had never been particularly good at accepting the inevitable. Chen activated his secure communications. This is Admiral Chen to all Earth Defense Command stations. Begin operation. Graduation immediately. Time to show these aliens what humans really are. The countdown had begun. In 72 hours, the galaxy would learn something new about the small blue planet in the Sol system, something the Valians were about to regret discovering. Peace talks had failed. Now Earth would show its true face. The human transport ship arrived back at Earth 12 hours after the failed negotiations. Secretary General Santos stepped off the ship at Luna Station, Earth's moon base, where Admiral Chen was waiting for her. The artificial gravity felt good after the long journey, but the weight of what was coming made every step feel heavier. How long do we have? Chen asked without greeting. 60 hours, Santos replied. They weren't interested in talking. It was exactly what we expected. Doctor? Kim joined them, carrying a case full of data recordings from the alien ship. I managed to scan their technology during the meeting. Their systems are powerful but predictable. Everything runs on crystalline computing, very efficient, but it thinks in patterns. Chen led them to the main command center. Through the massive viewing windows, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the stars. But something was different. Ships were moving everywhere. Cargo haulers, passenger transports, mining vessels. It looked like organized chaos. What's happening down there? Santos asked. Admiral Chen smiled. the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him since the aliens arrived. "Operation Graduation, ma'am. We've been planning this for 6 months." 6 months? But the aliens only revealed themselves 3 days ago. No. Chen shook his head. They revealed themselves 3 days ago. We detected them 6 months ago when they entered our outer system. They thought they were being careful, staying hidden behind Jupiter's moons. But our deep space sensors caught them. Dr. Kim's eyes widened. "That's why you pulled me off the CERN project early. You weren't interested in particle research. You wanted quantum communication." "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "Come with me. There's something you need to see." They took a transport down to Earth, landing at what used to be Denver International Airport. But the airport was transformed. Instead of passenger terminals, there were massive command centers filled with screens and operators. In the center of it all sat something that looked like a giant video game tournament. Hundreds of young people, most barely out of their teens, sat at advanced computer terminals. Their screens showed complex 3D models of spaceships, battle formations, and tactical simulations. The sound of clicking keyboards and excited chatter filled the air. "What is this?" Santos asked. "The future of warfare," Chen replied. "Meet Task Force Digital. These kids have been training for 6 months on the most advanced combat simulators we could build. They know every detail of every alien ship in that fleet." A young woman with purple hair and gaming headphones looked up from her station. "Admiral, we've finished the new simulation runs. Want to see the results?" Chen nodded. "Show the Secretary General." The girl's screen displayed a perfect recreation of the alien fleet. "This is their current formation," she explained, her English heavily accented but clear. "See how they're arranged? They think they're being smart, keeping their biggest ships in the center. But they're using the same formation they used on the Kepler colonies." "How do you know that?" Santos asked. Dr. Kim answered. "We've been collecting data on the Valian Empire for years. Every ship that visits human space gets scanned. We know more about their tactics than they think we do." Chen gestured to the massive screen at the front of the room. It showed a real-time view of Earth from space. But now Santos could see what was really happening. Those cargo ships she'd seen moving around weren't random. They were following specific patterns like pieces moving on a chessboard. "Sir," called an operator from across the room. "Transport Group 7 has reached the asteroid belt. They're beginning Phase 2 of the deployment." "Good," Chen nodded. "What about the lunar construction teams?" "Ahead of schedule. They should be ready in 48 hours. Santos felt overwhelmed. "Admiral, what exactly are you building?" Before Chen could answer, a new voice joined the conversation. "Secretary General Santos, I'm Colonel Maria Rodriguez, former NASA engineer, current project manager for Operation Graduation." Rodriguez was a middle-aged woman with calloused hands and tired eyes. She wore a simple work uniform covered in metal dust. "Would you like to see what we've been building?" They took another transport, this time to the moon. As they approached the lunar surface, Santos gasped. The moon looked different. What she had thought were normal mining operations 6 months ago were actually massive construction sites. Huge sections of the lunar surface had been excavated, and something enormous was being built inside. "What is that?" Santos whispered. "The moon gun," Rodriguez replied simply. "The largest magnetic railgun ever constructed. We've been building it for 6 months hidden inside Luna's mass. The aliens think it's just a mining operation." They landed at the construction site. Through the viewing windows of the facility, Santos could see the weapon. It stretched for kilometers through tunnels carved into the moon itself. Massive electromagnetic coils lined the barrel, and the power systems required an entire fusion plant to operate. "How is this possible?" Santos asked. "The engineering alone." "That's the thing about humans," Dr. Kim said. "We're really good at building things when we're scared, and we've been very scared for 6 months." Rodriguez nodded. "Every major construction company on Earth has been involved. Every engineer, every technician. We told them it was for the Mars terraforming project. Only the top command knew the truth. Chen's communicator buzzed. "Admiral, this is Earth Command. We're receiving reports from all sectors. Phase 1 preparations are 95% complete." "Confirmed," Chen replied. "Status on the quantum communication network?" "Dr. Kim's team has installed quantum transceivers on every major installation. We're ready for synchronized operations." Santos looked at the bustling activity around them. Human workers moved with purpose, installing massive components that she couldn't even identify. "How many people are involved in this?" "Everyone," Chen said simply. "Every person on Earth who can contribute. The farmers are growing extra food to feed the workers. The teachers are running training programs. Even the children are helping by staying in school and not asking questions." They returned to Earth's surface as the sun was setting. From the transport, Santos could see lights everywhere. Construction sites, training facilities, launch pads. Earth looked like a hive of activity. "The aliens think we're panicking," Rodriguez explained. "They're watching our news broadcasts, seeing humans going about their normal lives. They think we're in denial." Dr. Kim smiled. "That's because they don't understand humans. They see our entertainment industry and think we're soft. They see our social media and think we're distracted. They don't realize that those same networks are how we coordinate everything." Chen brought up a holographic display showing the entire solar system. Red dots marked the positions of alien ships. Blue dots showed human installations and ships. There were far more blue dots than Santos had expected. "The aliens gave us 3 days," Chen said. "They thought it was generous. They expected us to spend that time arguing, panicking, maybe trying to evacuate some people. Instead," Rodriguez continued, "we spent it finishing preparations we started 6 months ago. Those evacuation ships heading to the outer system, they're carrying the final components of our deep space defense network." Santos studied the display. Lines connected various blue dots, forming a complex web throughout the solar system. "What kind of defense network?" "The kind that will surprise them," Dr. Kim answered. "The Valians think in terms of ship-to-ship combat, direct confrontation. They can't imagine any other way to fight." Chen zoomed in on the Earth-Moon system. The display showed hundreds of installations Santos hadn't known existed. "Secretary General, the aliens think they're dealing with a primitive species that just developed faster than light travel. They're about to learn something very important about humans." "What's that?" Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. "That we've never been good at backing down from bullies, and when you give us time to prepare, we prepare for everything." A communication came through on the main channel. "All stations, this is Earth Command. T-minus 58 hours until deadline. All Phase 1 objectives complete. Beginning Phase 2 preparations. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, millions of humans continued their work. The aliens watched from their ships, confident in their superiority. They saw a species going about its normal routines, seemingly resigned to its fate. What they didn't see was the greatest mobilization in human history. An entire species preparing to show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of when threatened. The countdown continued. In 58 hours, the Valian Empire would learn why humanity had survived on a dangerous planet for millions of years. They were about to discover that the same creativity that built art and music could also build weapons they had never imagined. The Sierra aliens had given humanity 3 days. It would prove to be 3 days too many. The 72-hour deadline came at exactly 800 Earth Standard Time. Ambassador Zelvok stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet through the massive viewing screen. His mandibles clicked with satisfaction as he waited for the human surrender. "Have the humans sent their response?" he asked his communications officer. "No transmission yet, Ambassador," the officer replied. "But our sensors show normal activity on their planet. No signs of mass evacuation or panic." Zelvox nodded approvingly. "Good. They have accepted the inevitable. Perhaps this species has some wisdom after all." Behind him, War Master Kith Zorak moved closer. He was larger than the ambassador, his biomechanical armor gleaming with weapon systems. "Should we begin? The demonstration? Show them what happens to worlds that resist?" "Yes," Zelvox decided. Target their military installations. 3 precise strikes should be enough to confirm our power. The Valian fleet moved into attack formation. Their crystalline ships hummed with energy as weapon systems charged. On the bridge, tactical displays showed Earth's military bases clearly marked in red. Beginning bombardment, announced the weapons officer. Targeting Norfolk Naval Base, Peterson Space Force Base, and the Yokosuka Naval Facility. 3 beams of concentrated energy lanced down from the Valian ships. The beams struck Earth with devastating precision, turning the targeted bases into molten glass. The aliens watched with satisfaction as mushroom clouds rose from the impact sites. Excellent, Jelvok said. Now they understand our power. Open communications with Earth. But something was wrong. The tactical officer's mandibles clicked nervously. Ambassador, I'm reading something strange. The bases, they were empty. Empty? No life signs, no equipment. They had been completely evacuated. War Master Kith Zorak moved to the tactical station. Show me detailed scans. The displays showed the destroyed bases in detail. The buildings had been empty shells. No vehicles, no personnel, no technology. Just empty structures that had been left behind like abandoned movie sets. Perhaps they evacuated when they saw us coming, suggested the communications officer. Before Jelvox could respond, human communication channels crackled to life across the galaxy. Admiral Chen's voice came through clearly on all frequencies. Ambassador Jelvox. Chen's voice was calm and controlled. Thank you for the demonstration. You shouldn't have given us 3 days. The ambassador's eyes narrowed. Human, you will surrender now or face total destruction. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Chen replied. You see, we've been watching you for 6 months. We know exactly what you can do. The question is, do you know what we can do? Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the Valian fleet. On every ship, navigation systems started showing errors. Weapons targeting systems began malfunctioning. Communication lines between ships filled with static. What's happening? War Master Kith Zorak demanded. The chief technical officer's claws danced across his control panel. Someone is inside our systems. Our crystalline networks are being infiltrated. On Earth, in the command center that used to be Denver Airport, hundreds of young humans sat at their computers. Their fingers flew across keyboards as they executed the most sophisticated cyber attack in history. Sarah Chen, the purple-haired gamer, grinned as she broke through another layer of alien security. Team Alpha, I'm in their navigation system, feeding them false coordinates now. Copy that, replied another teenager. Team Beta has control of their communication array. They can't talk to each other anymore. Dr. Kim stood behind them, watching the attack progress on the main display. The quantum entanglement particles are working perfectly. Every cargo ship that went to the outer system was actually a deployment vessel. We've been planting quantum transceivers throughout their fleet for the past 3 days. On the alien flagship, chaos was spreading. Ships began firing on each other as their identification systems showed friendly vessels as enemies. Navigation computers sent ships spinning off course. Weapon systems activated and deactivated randomly. How is this possible? Jelvox roared. Our crystalline technology is unhackable. Not by crystalline computers, the technical officer replied frantically. But these humans, they're using something else. Quantum computing. Their systems don't think like ours. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communications again. You studied us for 6 months, Ambassador. You saw our social media, our entertainment, our games. What you failed to understand is that our games train our children for real warfare. On the main screen, the alien fleet was falling apart. Ships collided with each other as their navigation systems failed. Others spun helplessly as their pilots lost control. A few smaller vessels tried to retreat but found their engines wouldn't respond. The children you dismissed as playing with toys, Chen continued, have just taken control of your entire fleet. Every teenager who spent hours playing strategy games, every young person who mastered simulation software, they're all here and they know your ships better than you do. War Master Kith Zorak tried to regain control. Switch to manual override, disconnect all automated systems. But it was too late. The quantum entanglement particles had spread throughout every ship's systems like a virus. Even manual controls were compromised. Dr. Kim watched from Earth as the first phase of humanity's plan unfolded perfectly. Admiral, the network infiltration is complete. Their entire fleet is under our control. Good, Chen replied. Now show them what we've really been building. High above the chaos of the struggling alien fleet, new contacts appeared on every sensor. The cargo ships that had fled to the outer system 3 days ago were returning, but they looked different now. What had appeared to be simple transport vessels were transforming. Panels opened along their hulls, revealing weapon systems. Cargo bays reconfigured into launch platforms. The ships weren't cargo haulers at all. They were mobile weapons platforms assembled in space from components carried by different vessels. Impossible, whispered the tactical officer. How many ships do they have? The answer came from every direction. Hundreds of human vessels emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. Behind asteroids, in the shadows of planets hidden in the rings of Saturn, humanity had been building and deploying a massive fleet while the aliens watched Earth itself. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. On the moon, Colonel Rodriguez stood in the control room of humanity's greatest weapon. Lunar command to Earth control, she announced. Moon gun is fully charged and ready to fire. Admiral Chen's response was immediate. You are cleared to engage Lunar Command. Show them what we built. The moon itself seemed to pulse with energy. Along its surface, previously hidden panels opened, revealing the massive railgun barrel that extended through the moon's core. The weapon had been carved into Luna itself, hidden inside what the aliens thought was a mining operation. Rodriguez placed her hand on the firing control, targeting the alien flagship, firing in 3, 2, 1. Fire. The moon erupted in light. A projectile moving at 15% the speed of light shot from Luna's surface. It crossed the distance to the alien flagship in seconds, punching through the ship's shields like they weren't there. The massive Valian vessel, pride of their empire, simply ceased to exist. Where the flagship had been, there was now only expanding debris and energy. On the bridge of his command ship, War Master Kith Zorak watched in horror as their most powerful vessel was destroyed in an instant. Retreat, he ordered. All ships, retreat immediately. But retreat was impossible. Human ships surrounded them on all sides. The alien vessels that weren't already disabled by the cyber attack found themselves trapped in a carefully planned formation. Admiral Chen's final words echoed through the Valian fleet. You came here expecting easy prey. You found predators instead. This is your only warning. Leave our system now, or we will do to your entire empire what we just did to your flagship. The Battle of Sol had lasted only 18 minutes. In that time, the Valian Empire learned that humanity was unlike any species they had ever encountered. They had made their first mistake by giving humans time to prepare. They were about to discover it wouldn't be their last. The destruction of the Valian flagship sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. War Master Kith Zorak stood frozen on his bridge, staring at the empty space where their most powerful ship had been just moments before. Status report, he demanded, his voice cracking with disbelief. Sir, we've lost complete control of our systems, the tactical officer reported. The humans are inside every network. Our ships are firing on each other. Our navigation is offline and our communications are jammed. Through the chaos, Admiral Chen's voice cut through clear and strong. War Master Kith Zorak, this is Admiral Chen of Earth Defense Command. I'm aid, offering you one chance to save what's left of your fleet. Withdraw immediately. Kith Zorak's mandibles clicked angrily. You think one weapon makes you superior? We are the Valian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. And now you're about to learn why you should have stopped at 46. Chen replied calmly. Suddenly, new alerts began flashing across every Valian ship. Long-range sensors were detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. The humans had more surprises. On Mars, what the aliens had believed was a failed terraforming project began to change. The red planet's surface opened up in dozens of places, revealing massive launch tubes. Colonel James Park stood in the command center buried deep beneath Olympus Mons. Mars' defense platform is online, he reported to Earth. all missile batteries charged and ready. Confirmed, Mars base, Admiral Chen responded. You are clear to engage. From Mars, hundreds of fusion-powered missiles launched simultaneously. These weren't ordinary weapons. They were powered by the same technology that lit stars. Each missile could destroy a city, and there were 500 of them heading toward the Valian fleet. But that was just the beginning. In the asteroid belt, what the aliens thought were mining operations revealed their true purpose. Asteroid after asteroid opened up like metal flowers, each one hiding a fusion bomb powerful enough to crack a moon. Remote detonation systems activated, turning entire sections of the asteroid belt into a minefield. Dr. Kim watched the unfolding battle from Earth's command center. Phase 3 weapons are active, Admiral. All outer system defenses are online. What about the inner system? Chen asked. Venus platform reports ready for activation. High above Venus, hidden in the planet's thick clouds, humanity had built something the aliens couldn't have imagined. The entire upper atmosphere of Venus had been turned into a weapons platform. Floating cities that looked like research stations were actually military bases, armed with plasma cannons that drew power directly from the planet's volcanic activity. Captain Lisa Rodriguez commanded the Venus platform from her flagship, a vessel that looked like a simple research station. Venus Command to Earth Control. We have multiple Valian ships entering our engagement zone. Engage at will, Venus Command, Admiral Chen authorized. The clouds of Venus erupted with energy, beams. Plasma cannons powered by the planet's own volcanic forces reached out across space like fingers of fire. 3 Valian cruisers tried to escape through Venus's orbital path but were caught in the crossfire. Their crystalline shields, which had seemed invincible, shattered like glass under the sustained assault. War Master Kith Zorak watched his fleet being systematically destroyed from every direction. How is this possible? When did they build all this? His science officer, studying the sensor data, provided a chilling answer. Sir, these installations have existed for years, some for decades. They didn't build this in 3 days. They built it over generations. The truth was even more impressive than the aliens could imagine. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this battle in 6 months. They had been preparing for centuries, ever since humans first looked up at the stars and wondered what might be looking back. Colonel Rodriguez's voice came through from the moon. Admiral, charging the Luna array for second firing sequence. Negative. Lunar Command, Chen replied. Save your ammunition, they're getting the message. Indeed, the surviving Valian ships were trying to retreat. But Admiral Chen wasn't done demonstrating Earth's capabilities. All stations, this is Earth Control, he announced. Activate the solar collectors. Near the sun, humanity's greatest engineering project came to life. What appeared to be simple solar research stations were actually massive energy collectors. They had been gathering power from the sun for 50 years, storing it in quantum batteries for this exact moment. The solar collectors turned toward the fleeing Valian fleet and released stored solar energy in controlled bursts. Beams of concentrated sunlight, focused and amplified, reached across the solar system in seconds. They weren't meant to destroy, they were meant to disable. One by one, the remaining Valian ships lost power as their energy systems overloaded. They drifted helplessly in space, completely at humanity's mercy. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. Sir, the communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from Earth itself. Secretary General Santos appeared on the main screen, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from every nation on Earth. But more importantly, the background showed something impossible. Earth's surface was covered with weapon platforms, not hidden underground or disguised as other structures. Visible, obvious military installations that covered every continent. War Master Kith Zorak, Santos began, you made a fundamental error about humanity. You thought our planet was defenseless because you didn't see obvious weapons. You were wrong. The camera pulled back, showing the true scope of Earth's defenses. The entire planet was armed. Cities weren't just cities, they were fortified positions. Highways weren't just roads, they were landing strips for military aircraft. Even the civilian population was armed and trained. Our whole planet is a weapon, Santos continued. Every human is a soldier. Every city is a fortress. We didn't become peaceful because we couldn't fight. We became peaceful because we got too good at it. Dr. Kim stepped into view beside Santos. You studied our entertainment, our games, our social media. What you failed to understand is that everything humans do prepares us for war. Our sports teach us tactics. Our games teach us strategy. Our movies teach us to imagine threats and overcome them. Admiral Chen's voice joined the broadcast. War Master, you wanted to take 80% of our population as slaves. Here's what you would have gotten. 8 billion humans, each one trained from birth to survive and fight. Each one creative, adaptable, and absolutely unwilling to give up. The camera showed more views of Earth. Orbital platforms around the planet deployed, revealing massive weapon systems. The moon's surface opened up to show dozens more railgun barrels. Mars displayed ranks of missile silos that stretched from pole to pole. This is our true face, Santos concluded. Not the entertainment and social media you saw, but the species that survived on a death world for millions of years. We tried to be your friends first, you chose to be our enemies. War Master Kith Zorak looked around his disabled bridge. Of the 500 ships that had arrived 3 days ago, less than 50 remained functional. His mighty empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, had been crushed by a species they thought was primitive. What do you want? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Admiral Chen's response was immediate. Leave, now. Take your surviving ships and go. Tell your empire what you learned here. Tell them that Earth is not for conquest. And if we don't leave? Santos smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Then you'll join your flagship. We've shown you our outer defenses, our planetary weapons, our solar collectors. Would you like to see what Earth itself is capable of? As if to emphasize the point, Earth's surface erupted with light. Thousands of weapon emplacements revealed themselves, all targeting the remaining Valian ships. The planet itself had become a gun pointed at the alien fleet. War Master Kith Zorak realized the truth. They hadn't just lost a battle, they had been completely outmatched from the moment they entered this system. The humans had been playing a game the Valians didn't even know existed. We will leave, he said finally. Good choice, Admiral Chen replied. And War Master? Don't come back. Next time we won't be so merciful. As the battered Valian fleet limped away from Earth, every alien survivor carried the same message back to their empire. Humanity was unlike anything they had ever encountered. The UR species that played games and shared pictures of cats had just demonstrated the most sophisticated military organization in known galactic history. Earth had shown its true face, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The Valian fleet retreated slowly through the outer solar system, their damaged ships struggling to maintain formation. War Master Kith Zorak sat in his command chair, watching the tactical display with growing dread. They had lost over 90% of their fleet in less than an hour. Sir, his communications officer reported nervously, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Other species are asking what happened here. Kith Zorak's mandibles clicked in frustration. The battle had been broadcast across the galactic networks. Every civilization would soon know that the mighty Valian Empire had been crushed by a single primitive world. And our home fleet? He asked. No response, sir. We think the humans are blocking our communications. On Earth, Admiral. Chen stood in the central command room, watching the alien fleets retreat on the main screen. Dr. Kim approached him with a tablet showing energy readings from across the galaxy. Admiral, we're detecting massive fleet movements, she reported. The Valians are calling for reinforcements. It looks like they're planning to return with everything they have. Chen nodded grimly. I expected as much. How long until they arrive? Our deep space sensors estimate 6 months, maybe less. They're gathering ships from across their empire. Secretary General Santos joined them, looking tired but determined. Admiral, the Global Council is asking about our options. Can we defend against a full Imperial assault? Admiral Chen gestured to the displays showing Earth's defenses. Ma'am, what they saw today was just the introduction. We've been preparing for this moment for generations. Across the galaxy, the news of Earth's victory spread like wildfire. In the Zephyrian Republic, Chancellor Veltar watched the battle recordings with fascination. How is this possible? He asked his military advisor. The humans defeated the Valians using strategies we've never seen before. Sir, our analysts believe the humans think differently than most species. Where we see individual battles, they see war as a system. Everything is connected. On the trading world of Nexus Prime, alien merchants gathered in worried groups. The Valian Empire had been their greatest customer and biggest threat. Now, a species called humans had proven that the Valians could be beaten. What do we know about these humans? Asked a Cetarian trader, his tentacles moving nervously. Very little, replied a Corvan information broker. They've been quiet for decades. Small traders, scientists, explorers, nothing that suggested military power like this. But the biggest concern was spreading through the Valian Empire itself. On the capital world of Vale Prime, Emperor Zethka received the news from the Sol system with rage that shook the palace. Walls! 500 ships, he roared, his massive form towering over his advisors. Our finest fleet, destroyed by a species that hasn't even left their home system. His chief military advisor, General Hythe Zon, tried to explain. Your Majesty, the reports indicate the humans had been preparing for decades, perhaps even centuries. They turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Then we will turn it into rubble, Zethka declared. Summon every fleet, every ship, every weapon we have. I want 10,000 ships ready to leave for the Sol system within 6 months. Sir, the advisor hesitated. That would leave our other territories undefended. Do you think I care about other territories? This human insolence cannot stand. They have embarrassed the Empire before the entire galaxy. They must be made an example of. Back on Earth, the preparations continued with even greater intensity. In what used to be New York City, the buildings themselves were transforming. Skyscrapers opened to reveal missile silos. Central Park was revealed to be a command center built underground. Colonel Sandra Martinez stood on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, which was now Earth's tallest communications tower. Through the windows, she could see the city's true nature being revealed. Every building had hidden purposes. Every street was designed for defense. Ma'am, her aide reported, we're getting reports from Luna Base. The aliens are trying to hack into our quantum communication network. Expected, Martinez replied. They're trying to learn how we did it. Too bad for them, quantum encryption doesn't work that way. On the moon, the construction teams worked around the clock. What the aliens had seen was just one railgun. In reality, the entire moon was being hollowed out to house dozens of these weapons, each one capable of destroying a ship from across the solar system. Colonel Rodriguez wiped sweat from her forehead as she watched the massive construction robots carving out new tunnels. How many more guns can we fit? Theoretical maximum is 37, her chief engineer replied. But we'd need to relocate some of the living quarters. Do it, Rodriguez ordered. When they come back, I want enough firepower to take out their entire fleet before they get within range of Earth. In the asteroid belt, the mining operations had taken on a sinister purpose. Every asteroid was being equipped with fusion charges. The plan was simple. If the aliens tried to invade again, they would find themselves flying through a minefield millions of kilometers wide. Dr. Kim stood in the research lab on Ceres Station, the largest asteroid base. She was working on humanity's most ambitious project yet, turning the entire asteroid belt into a coordinated weapon system. The quantum computing network is adapting well, she reported to Admiral Chen via secure communication. We can control every explosive in the belt from a single location. Good, Chen replied. What about the solar collectors? Operational and improving. We're now capturing 8 times more energy than before. If they bring a bigger fleet, we'll have bigger weapons to meet them. But perhaps the most significant development was happening on Earth itself. The alien attack had united humanity like never before. In every city, every town, every village, people were training for war. In Tokyo, office workers practiced with energy weapons during their lunch breaks. In London, school children learned tactical communication as part of their regular studies. In São Paulo, retired soldiers trained entire neighborhoods in defensive tactics. Maria Santos visited a training center in Berlin, where she watched teenagers who looked no older than 16 practicing with advanced weapon systems. "These children," she said to the instructor, "they should be in school." "They are in school, ma'am," the instructor replied, "just not the kind the aliens would recognize. These kids know more about military tactics than most galactic generals." The instructor was right. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to learn, adapt, and think creatively. Every human was becoming a soldier, but not the kind the galaxy expected. As reports reached Earth about the Valian Empire gathering their full military might, Admiral Chen called a meeting of all global leaders. The meeting was held not in a Yao government building, but in a converted football stadium in Brazil. 20 billion people watched the broadcast. "My fellow humans," Chen began, "we know they're coming back, this time with everything they have. 10,000 ships, maybe more." The crowd was silent, waiting. "Let them come," Chen continued. "They think they've seen what humanity can do. They're wrong. What they saw was us being polite. What they saw was us giving them a chance to leave." He gestured to the screens showing Earth's defenses. "When they return, they'll find something different. Not just a defended planet, but a species that has fully awakened to what it means to be human." Dr. Kim stepped up to the podium. "The aliens think war is about big ships and powerful weapons. They don't understand that human warfare is about ideas, creativity, innovation. Every day we don't fight them, we get stronger. Every day we prepare, we become more dangerous." Secretary General Santos had the final word. "To any aliens listening to this broadcast, we tried to be your friends. We offered you our knowledge, our culture, our hands in friendship. You responded with slavery and threats." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "When you return, you will face something the galaxy has never seen before. Not just a planet defended by weapons, but 8 billion humans who have chosen to fight together. Each one of us trained. Each one of us ready. Each one of us united in a single purpose." The stadium erupted in cheers, but Santos wasn't finished. "You wanted to see our true face?" she asked. "Come back and look." Across the galaxy, species that had been planning their own invasions of primitive worlds quietly canceled those plans. The humans had shown that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that chooses to be peaceful. But peacetime was over. The Valian Empire was gathering its full strength for a war that would determine the future of the galaxy. And humanity was ready to show them what 8 billion awakened predators could accomplish when they stopped holding back. 6 months later, the Valian Imperial Armada arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. 10,000 warships, the largest fleet in galactic history, emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Emperor Zethka himself commanded the fleet, from his massive flagship, a ship the size of a small moon. "Finally," the Emperor rumbled, his voice echoing through the bridge. "Time to teach these primitive humans their place." His fleet had come prepared for total war. Planet killers, world burners, weapons that could crack continents. The Emperor intended to turn Earth into an example that would last 10,000 years, but something was wrong. "Sir," the sensor officer reported nervously, "I'm not reading any human ships." "What do you mean?" "The space around Earth, it's empty. No defensive fleets, no military vessels. It's like they've surrendered." Emperor Zethka studied the tactical display. The human home system looked exactly as it had 6 months ago. No new defenses, no additional weapons platforms. Just a quiet blue planet orbiting its yellow star. "Perhaps they realized the futility of resistance," suggested General Haithzan. 10,000 ships is overwhelming even for them." The Emperor's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. "Begin the invasion, but broadcast our approach first. I want them to see what happens to species that defy the Empire." As the Valian fleet moved toward Earth, They activated their communication systems, ready to broadcast their conquest to the galaxy. What they found instead shocked them into silence. The entire galaxy was already watching. On screens across 1,000 worlds, beings of every species followed the Vailian advance. But they weren't watching with anticipation. They were watching with pity. On the trading station Nexus Prime, a crowd of aliens gathered around the main view screen. A Cetarian merchant shook his tentacles sadly. They still don't understand. The more humans tried to warn them, added a Corvan trader. They had 6 months to learn. They learned nothing. As the Vailian fleet reached the outer planet Neptune, Admiral Chen's voice crackled across all communication channels. But he wasn't speaking to the Vailians. He was addressing the galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy. Chen's voice was calm and measured. You are about to witness the end of the Vailian Empire. Not through conquest, not through revenge, but through their own choice to ignore what we tried to teach them. Emperor Zethka snarled. Silence, human, your species dies today. No, Chen replied simply. Today, a disease is cured. That's when the Emperor noticed something impossible. The space around Earth wasn't empty. It was full, but not with ships. Every piece of space debris, every asteroid, every grain of cosmic dust had been turned into a weapon. The entire solar system had become a single, coordinated defense network. It wasn't just that Earth was defended, space itself had become hostile to invasion. Dr. Kim's voice joined the broadcast from her command center on Luna. Your Majesty, in 6 months we've done something you didn't think was possible. We've made friends. Suddenly new ships appeared at the edges of the solar system. But these weren't human vessels. They were ships from dozens of different species. The Zephyrian Republic, the Cetarian Trade Federation, the Free Worlds Alliance. Species that had been suffering under Vailian expansion for centuries. You see, Secretary General Santos explained, while you spent 6 months gathering ships for war, we spent 6 months sharing our quantum communication technology, our defensive strategies, our knowledge. We made allies, not enemies. Chancellor Veltar of the Zephyrian Republic broadcast from his flagship. For 300 years, the Vailian Empire has terrorized the galaxy. Today, that ends. Emperor Zethka looked around in growing panic. His fleet, massive as it was now surrounded by the combined forces of half the galaxy. But worse than that, his own ships were beginning to malfunction. Sir, the tactical officer reported in panic. Our systems are being compromised again. The humans, they're inside our networks. But it wasn't just humans this time. Species from across the galaxy, working together using human-designed quantum networks, were taking control of the Vailian fleet from the inside. On Earth, in what used to be schools and offices, children and adults worked together at computer terminals. The same gaming skills that had defeated the first Vailian fleet now controlled weapon systems from a dozen different species. Sarah Chen, the purple-haired teenager who had led the first cyber attack, coordinated with alien technicians from across the galaxy. Team Alpha, we have control of their forward batteries. Team Beta, disable their engines. Team Gamma, work with the Zephyrian hackers to take their communications. In minutes, the entire Vailian armada was floating helplessly in space. 10,000 ships, reduced to metal hulks drifting in the void. But Admiral Chen wasn't done. Emperor Zethka, he announced, you came here with overwhelming force. You thought that's what power meant. You were wrong. The screens throughout the galaxy showed something unprecedented. Representatives from 50 different species appeared together, speaking as one voice. The age of conquest is over, they declared together. The age of cooperation begins now. Dr. Kim stepped forward with a device that looked simple but represented the most advanced technology ever created. This is a quantum peace treaty, a binding agreement that will link all our worlds through instantaneous communication. No more misunderstandings. No more wars based on fear and ignorance. Species after species added their agreement to the treaty. Even former enemies put aside their differences, united by the human example of turning potential foes into friends. Emperor, Zethka watched as his empire crumbled not through violence, but through irrelevance. His ships were taken over by their own crews who had seen enough war. His colonies declared independence, his generals surrendered. "How?" he whispered. "How did you defeat an empire?" Admiral Chen answered with a smile. "We didn't defeat your empire, Your Majesty. We made it unnecessary." Secretary General Santos appeared on screen one final time. "You wanted to see our true face? Here it is. We're not conquerors. We're not warriors. We're builders. We build bridges, alliances, futures. We build hope." She gestured to the screens, showing ships from dozens of worlds working together. "This is what happens when you give humanity a challenge. We don't just solve it. We solve it for everyone." The galaxy watched as the massive Valian fleet was peacefully but thoroughly disabled. No ships were destroyed. No lives were lost. The humans had proven that overwhelming power didn't require overwhelming violence. 3 days later, Emperor Zethka stood not as a prisoner, but as a guest in the United Nations building in New York. The empire that had conquered 47 worlds had been defeated not by superior weapons, but by a superior idea. "Your Majesty," Santos said gently, "you have a choice. Your empire is gone, but your people don't have to be. Join us. Help us build something better." The Emperor looked out the window at Earth's great cities, where humans and aliens worked, together, building a future none of them could have imagined alone. For the first time in his life, Zethka's mandibles clicked, not in anger or threat, but in something like wonder. "What are you calling this alliance?" he asked quietly. Dr. Kim smiled. "The Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Fancy name for a simple idea. We're all stronger when we work together." 6 months later, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The quantum communication network linked thousands of worlds. Trade flourished like never before. Scientific discoveries accelerated as species shared knowledge freely. And Earth remained exactly what it had always been, a small blue planet full of creatures who refused to accept that the way things were was the way things had to be. The Valian Empire had come to conquer. They ended up joining something far greater than they ever could have built alone. Peace talks had failed. But in the end, peace had won anyway. That was the most human thing of all,